Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Back to Basics, Reconnecting to the Essence of You. Patrice Bisiot is an author, speaker, executive leading image and branding coach who has cultivated an international following from his Parisian roots. Patrice specializes in aligning the image and message of individuals and organizations, ensuring that their public personas reflect authenticity and purpose. His best-selling book, Mind Your Hair, delves into critical connection between mindset and appearance. In contrast, his newest release, Mind Your Impact Style Interventionist, features transformative stories of clients who have reshaped their identities through intentional branding connections. Hello, Patrice, and welcome to Back to Basics.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, ça va?
Ça va et toi?
Ça va très bien. On peut faire ça en français, mais I think the audience, we're going to lose some of them.
Yeah, we'll lose them like right now. All right. Thank you, Leticia. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm very excited. And, I'm going to give credit when credit's due. It was a great friend of mine, Flavia, that introduced us. And the reason why I have the podcast is to have inspired conversations. And she said, you must interview Patrice because he's so inspiring in everything he does. So I'm so happy you said yes.
No, thank you. Thank you. I love spreading my message. I'm passionate about what I do. So I'm looking forward to your questions.
And it shows. My questions are really about the journey. And I want to hear about Patrice and those Parisian roots. So obviously you're French. Tell us about the younger you, your origin story. And if you ever thought that branding was going to be your thing or how that progressed into what you're doing right now.
Yeah, well, that's one of the best questions I've ever had, actually, because that's exactly what it is. It's really evolution. So as a kid, there were three things that were ultra clear to me, which was being on my own, being an entrepreneur, making my own decisions, being my own boss. I was going to help people build a community, do something. I was going to help people to build something else. I didn't know how it looked like. And I also knew that it had to be artistic, creative, intuitive. So that got actually to start with hair. Hair was the beginning of my journey, and which is still somewhat part of it, as of now. But in that hair, it was really about understanding one thing also, that I love the luxury market. It's always been something that I've been attracted to. And it was also about not just changing people's image, but I knew there was a deeper meaning to image. So it was just intuitive. So hair became the beginning of the journey, understanding too that entrepreneurship had to come really quick. So by the age of 18 years old, I was managing 3 salons of one of the biggest brands in Paris. So that got me to have all those employees under me, but realizing I need more. I used to tell my boss, I want more. It's like at 18 years old, you have someone who is 50 with the same job. All right, but I'm like, I don't care. The challenge, I have a life ahead of me. I want to fill it up as much as I can. And I want to leave a legacy when they behind me when I go. I want to have, my imprint needs to be somewhere for the greater good. So moved to Miami, and a year later with this company, I was managing a salon in Bal Harbour Shops, which for some of you know, it's the Fifth Avenue of Miami, where all the luxury stores in the world are. But now it was clear I had to be on my own. So I opened my own business, my first business at 19 and some change before my 20th birthday. And now I'm in the middle of a golf resort with an extensive international clientele. And I got really clear that, all right, this is my market. This is what I love doing. But in the process of that, I started also saying, yeah, but Hollywood has always been my dream. So I did an event which became the person organizing it, became my publicist in Beverly Hills. And that's when I started dabbing into the red carpet, being with celebrities, the Oscars, the award shows. And in the process of that, that's where I understood now there's a disconnect between people's image in the sense that they think, make me look pretty, make me look beautiful, make me look sexy, make me look powerful. But it didn't mean anything. Because if I don't understand emotionally how you attach your feelings to that word, I don't know how to translate it into an image. So I started little by little to get into this questionnaire that I was like, all right, this is what I need from you prior to for us to meet. This is how you're going to answer, and these are the questions. And little by little, it just got to become a thing. And that thing, everybody was like, you need to do something with that. Put it into a coaching, write books. I was like, all right, whatever. So at that point, I'm building a lot of success. I'm young. I'm very arrogant about my success. I think that the world belongs to me. And I'm like, please, I got it all figured out. Well, little I knew, 2010 came. 2008 came around when the world exploded financially, economically. And so did I. And I had a business partner who was nothing but a common thief. So he made sure to clean me out of everything. And I owed a lot of money to a friend of mine because we were opening a new venture together. And that's when I ended up sleeping in my car. And I ended up having to revise my vision, mission, and purpose. And still the young me is there. I have 4 businesses thriving. And suddenly within 30 days, I'm completely cleaned out of everything. So that got me to say, all right, what is it that I really want to do? So then I moved full time to Beverly Hills. And then I started actually traveling between New York, Miami, and Beverly Hills, where I had my clientele. But in it, one day, I'm watching this famous show on reality TV to realize what a nonsense this is, because this is what those girls and guys of the world are looking at. Meanwhile, what is this? There is no purpose. There is always an emotional purpose behind every decision we make, whether the music you listen to, the food you eat, or what you wear. It's something that's attached to you because it means something to you. This is when my first book, Mind Your Hair, came around, because I'm like, people want a hair makeover, but they have no idea. They think, all right, today I'm feeling horrible in my skin. I can stand the kids, the dog, the husband, the wife, whatever it is. But in that process, now they're putting the responsibility on someone else's hand. And on top of it, they don't make any of the deep work. And that deep work not being done, well, that means in a few days, tomorrow, or a week from now, you're going to say, what did I do? Well, yeah, but too late. Now it's done. So from that book really became the beacon of understanding a hair makeover is a process. So here is the 7 steps you need to go by, and that will allow you to go to a successful result. Got received super well. Bestseller on Amazon, although it means more than it really is, but it got the attention that now I got signed by a keynote agent in New York, and I'm starting doing a lot of female empowerment, mentoring high school girl in Astoria, New York, and then doing a lot of work with our female organization to say, hey, girls of the world, stop thinking beauty is just a thing. It's actually a lot deeper than you think. So it got deeper and deeper until I met in one of my keynotes a friend who became a friend, Cindy Brown, who helped me writing this executive coaching program, because she said, listen, I can tell 50 men in a boardroom what to do, but when it comes to me, when I leave my house, I have no idea what I'm transmitting. What message am I conveying? No idea. That's how we crafted in 2 years. That's executive program, which is a one-on-one 9 weeks, and then we work weekly together. That got me and led me to write book number 2, Mind Your Impact, Style Interventionist. Because really when I come into someone's life, it's not just to say, all right, let's change your wardrobe and your hair and your makeup. It's really about saying, what is the nanosecond when you walk into the room? How does that look like? What do you want to give the world? What do you want them to understand of you in a nanosecond, instantly when they look at you? All the visual cues, what do they represent? And that's how I got to now. Actually, I'm writing my 3rd book, Mind Your Brand, and I'm going deeper and deeper in the psychology of appearance. And this is 20-something years.
That is amazing. That is unbelievable. What a journey. I mean, there's so much there that I could okay, yeah, I'm going to come back. I'm going to get that coffee because this is a good story. I don't need even to be here. So what I love about what you just said is like you were clear from the get go about what you were good at and all of obviously what you were passionate about, which is something that in the over 280 interviews I've done, not everybody's clear about. And that's fine. That's the purpose of why I do the show. It's like sometimes you know right away, sometimes you don't know right away, and that's fine. But yours took you to big success early on. And yet, I always say the universe, God, whatever higher force we have, it's always going to throw you a curveball. No matter how aligned you are with your purpose or your mission, there's going to be something down the road that is designed to make us evolve into our next level of potential, or that's how I see it. And so you had that, like you were successful, and then unfortunately, you almost have to go back to zero for what I hear.
Oh, no, no. It was not back to zero. It was in the negative because here I am sleeping in my car, having nothing to show for. All the properties are gone. My 4 businesses are gone. And I'm like, and then I owed a lot of money. And back then, actually in 2010, the dollar was actually about half of the currency of the euro. So I borrowed the money in euros. So it was really a bad thing. That was the best thing. And when you say, curveball, you see, I've removed from my vocabulary, negative, failure, all those words that are, it's not a failure. And I thought, believe me, at the time, I thought like I was a loser because I was extremely, extremely arrogant. I was very arrogant about my success, no doubt. Obsessed with making money, ambition turned into, it was not even ambition anymore. It was an obsession for money. And that got me actually, I blindsided my own self with, and my business partner was even worse. So it was not a good influence, but yet I didn't do anything about it. So I just followed that path. So that moment in time where I wrapped in my very expensive bed cover in my car is like, but hold up. So what do I do now? Is it drugs, alcohol? Do I kill myself? Because now who wants to deal with me? I'm a loser. So no one wants to deal with a loser. And eventually I'm like, okay, I need to stop this drama in my head. I have all that stuff that I have been building since the time I was a teenager. So it got me to actually be the best gift I've ever received. And because I took that gift and said, all right, now what do I do with it? How do I do? And that's really when my vision, mission, and purpose became super clear. I'm like, why did I come to America? Oh, yeah, to be my own boss, do something to change the world and be creative. All right, let's go to Hollywood. Totally my dream. Now I'm going to be there full time. But then let's make it purposeful. And that first book was my reveal. And if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be talking about it today with you.
So powerful. I really, really believe in all that you're saying, and especially in that attitude and mindset where, yes, it's something that happened, but then you move forward and you take, I would say, never let a good storm go to waste. I heard somebody say, and just see what you can make out of that. And it seems that's exactly what you made. And so moving right into, I know you develop and you talk about it, that a matrix, an index in terms of your PR and branding. Talk a little bit about that. And I know that's a lot of probably what you give in your coaching program, which there's going to be everything on the show notes about how to find you, how to find the books and the show and the coaching. But what is that about? Is it really like that powerful to go through a list and kind of define your style? Or
yes, yeah, it is. Yes. So you see, the problem is that society has created this thing now where, all about empowerment, love yourself, embrace yourself, show up as yourself. And then you feel like, yeah, but, I'm kind of like, people are going to judge me. They're going to see me. They're going to, And then eventually one day you feel, you know what? I'm going to be me. Oh, yeah. And then you're on social media and you got all the trolls and all the people that have nothing better to do with their lives to criticize you, bash you, put the worst comments. And now it's like either you deal with it or you just get back into your shell and you disappear. And with me, when people hire me, they think of me as the stylist. So they think of hair and, like I said, makeup and wardrobe, which I was talking about earlier. To realize the first session when we start, we spend the first 2 hours together. It's about, now, we're going to talk about your turning points. We're going to talk about the things you do. We're going to talk about the patterns of behavior you've been cultivating since you're a child, because we all the product of childhood. And whether the part of the world, the religion in the house, the mentor you chose to have as you were growing up, all that is going to model you into a person. And this is why one word for a person means another to the other, because mentally, emotionally, intuitively, they feel different about it because they grew up maturing those words very differently emotionally. So the program that I have is really about saying, before we get to me to help you choosing what you're going to wear and how you're going to wear and your voice pitch, your body posture, we're going to define you, because if I don't know you, there is no way I can take you to that place. This is not magical. This is not something you build out of nothing. And branding is very misinterpreted as well, where a brand for most people is your logo, your website, your business card. That is part of it, but this is actually the end result of all the things we have identified first that we take apart, and now we determine what is your point of departure, what's your destination, and now how do we go about it, and we can build it piece by piece, so then we go from there to there.
It sounds to me like the old-fashioned concept of instant gratification, right? We want to look good. We go to the beauty salon, we look good. But I love what you said about, yeah, but that's going to last X amount, because I do believe that a lot of your energy is really what it's appealing. You have people that have this energy about them that adds a layer into how they look physically. And I really think that finding who we are and what we want to achieve in life, it's so important, and we don't give it enough thought. I know when I personally thought about my own brand or what do I stand for, I have pages and pages of things I wrote, because it's like, how do you choose? There's many things we stand for. So if you want, let's talk a little bit about personal branding. I think a lot of people minimize the power of personal branding. I think that now social media, even for professional careers such as LinkedIn, you see it more and more. And really, you can create your own thought leadership, your own, as you say, brand. How do we convince people that this is something we need to pay attention to?
Great question. A brand, again, is not something you take pieces from and then you glue them together and it's like, oh my God, that's a brand. No. A brand, the misinterpretation of it is not something you build, it's something you are. It's the person you show up as. And my motto is, you only have a nanosecond to make a life-lasting impact. Like you said, the moment you walk into the room, and I'll give you a couple of examples, you go to HR, you're on a job interview, your credentials are great on paper, awesome. Now, imagine the HR person has seen 100 people. Now they're like, oh God, save me from this. I still haven't found my person. Yeah. Now, that person across the room, now that's going to literally walk in. Instantly, that HR is going to be like, ooh, all right, I'm liking the vibe. I don't know yet why, but I could see there is a certain regal way to carry themselves. I could tell that they own the room. I could tell what they'd chosen was very careful. It was not the typical black suit and navy blue suit and gray suit like people think, oh, it's professional. Yeah. And then you get drowned in a white noise, and it's like copying everybody and trying to push a video on YouTube and hoping to God that's going to make 1 million views. It's the same thing. Brand is what you bring. It's the essence of you, the vibes, the gut feeling people have about you is your authenticity, which is the first one on my list of things you need to display is authenticity. Because when you're authentic, now people are drawn to that. They're like, oh, wow, I need this. Now I can really listen to that person, because if you're authentic, now they trust you. And everything we do in life is transactional, whether it's money, whether it's feeling, emotions, whether you go on a date is transactional. And the other day, my clients say, transactional. I'm not giving money, or they're not giving me money. I'm like, there you go. You see, that's the problem of the society. Now everything is quantified with money. No, you go on a date, it's transactional. It's what are you going to give me? What can I give you? And where can we meet in the middle? Do we have that match? Because can I trust you? Are you authentic? Are you really who you are in front of me? Or you're just answering the question the way you think that's going to be good, so then now I have my interest on you? Or I could feel Your answers are absolutely you, and that is your brand right there.
And do you think that the people hide their brand just because they want the job or they need the job, and then they're not willing or courageous enough to show up as who they really are?
Yes, fear is a massive component that we all face. On occasion, of course, my level of fear is not like a lot of people because I'm ahead of the game and I coach it. So I better go by what I preach. But yes, of course, fear suddenly comes in. It's like,
Mm.
oh, I really want that job. So now there's a desperation. And in what I do, spirituality is a big component. So at first, I'm not saying that to people because if I was telling them, oh, building your brand, by the way, is about spirituality. But then they get to understand that spirituality because I'm going to have them chanting some Buddhist thing or, Om, it's about saying in the morning, how aligned are you with yourself? How calm are you with yourself? Because whether you go in a job interview, you pitch a new client, it's promotion day, you go on a date, you are somewhere in your community, maybe you're the president of the board of your building. It doesn't matter, small or large. One person or 1,000 person in front of you, the principle is the same. And that fear, unfortunately, and because of social media, which is supposed to be this incredible tool that we can use to our advantage, becomes a fearful tool because it's like, yeah, but if I put that, if I say that, if I wear that, if I do that, now suddenly it's like, oh yeah, but I'm going to be judged. No, you're going to be judged, but it's not a judgment. It's an assessment. That's what we do to one another. Why? I repeat it all the time for you. It's new because, I talk about it all the time. We made out of 75% of water. Water reacts to vibrations. Whether you put that speaker next to a bowl of water playing soft music, it's going to be a gentle ripple. As if it's next to a hard rock music, well, it's going to splash, it's going to go all over. Same thing. That is fear right there. The calm is when you're aligned, you come, you're peaceful, you're in harmony with yourself. It transmits that message. That nanosecond is powerful because now the person across from the visual cues and the energy they receive from you, that's your brand. And now if you remove the fear factor out of the equation, now you have someone that's balanced, that shows up as who they are, their brand.
Yeah, you make me think of I'm a big Tammy Simon. I don't know if you know her, but fan, and they talk a lot about inner game and outer game. And so, our outer game is how we present to the world, but then really where the work is in the inner game. It's about who we are on the inside, and when you're able to align both, that's when I think. Similar to what you're saying, that's when we show up, and then there's the same thing. It's the outer and the inner is aligned, and I think a lot of us kind of keep the inner. Either we don't think about it, or we leave it like kind of on the side, and then we just show up as somebody that is really not aligned with our inner self, and then we need these kind of moments. In our lives where we say, well, like what you just said, and you admitted, you say, well, I was being, cocky about my work. You had a moment where you say, okay, I have to reassess how I'm showing up. And then you refocus, and then magic is happening, to use your word. So that is so beautiful. So I know you have a third book, you have a lot of things going on for you. Of the things that you have come to learn in the people you have coached, and you mentioned fear, I'm sure that's one of the major things. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges we have as human beings into that quest for living authentically, or just having a more fulfilled life?
Yeah. Self-sabotage. That's the next thing. And it's really led to fear, but self-sabotage is a little different because it really is repeating the pattern that you have cultivated from childhood, which I was talking about. And now we can go deeper into it because remember you as a kid. A kid is not fearful of expressing themselves, say what they want. They always say, if you want the truth, ask a child. They'll tell you, ooh, that doesn't look good on you. Ooh, I don't like that. Or, ooh, I love that. Oh, that's great. Because there's not the conditioning yet of, no, you can't say that. You can't wear that. People are going to think that of you. And that self-sabotage now comes into your life as a person and as a professional. Because remember, branding is personal and professional at all times. Because People have that thing where, again, the branding word is very confusing. So it's like, oh, help me with my personal brand. Okay. But you're the same body that's leaving home to go to the workplace, to meet a client, to pitch a client, to go to your next maybe job interview. That's still the same person. That brand is just you. It doesn't separate one from the other. You showing up as you from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. So for people to build a successful brand, it's understanding, all right, I need to take a step back. Yeah, what do I keep on doing? Oh, when I go to a job interview, maybe I don't look at the person in the eyes because my parents used to say, don't look at me in the eyes. It's very rude. Look down. Those things, that's a small thing, for instance, but that will be. Now, if you are straight up and your shoulders are square, your chest is up, it could mean arrogance. For people, it's like, oh, who does he think he is? Who does she think she is? And then now you think like, oh, maybe I should round my shoulders. But if I round my shoulders, now I'm giving the vibe that I'm actually insecure and I'm scared. So all those little details, they go so far deep. In fact, I worked with an anthropologist because I wanted to understand tribes and I wanted to understand old civilization to know those patterns of behavior. Where do they come from? Why do we, are we attached to those things where we're doing them intuitively without knowing, but then now you're looking back and it's like, oh yeah, that's from childhood over here. So you need to take a huge step back, deep dive, and obviously my process is understanding what are the three things you want to emulate? What are the three things that are the most important to you? Like you say, you're going to have a list like that. I'm helping you to focus to say, now, we're not going to have all this. It's confusing, and a confused mind will not trust you, not buy from you, not date you, not marry you, not nothing. That person wants to know, boom, boom, boom. It's clear. Now that's your successful brand because you have been able to step back so far that you're looking at it as a movie set. And instead of looking and focusing on one person, which is you, you're looking at everything that built you. And then you can bring your focus and go like with a tunnel vision and be very precise about the message you're sending out.
Hmm. And would you agree that some people would say, well, Patrice, I mean, I'm a teacher, I work at a bank, I don't need a brand. What would you say to them?
I hear it all the time. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not an influencer. What do I care? What do you care? Well, you care. Whether you're a dad or a mom, that means already at home, you are a model. So by showing that power, you actually are changing some kids' life to become the adults. And yes, people say that to me all the time. Although I go for, my clients are definitely on the upper echelon of the social and professional life. But it's really about saying, but you are a celebrity in your own right. You do touch people, you guide people, you lead people, because I speak to leaders. Well, there you go. It matters. You are a banker. Isn't that banking dealing with the most sensitive commodity that people have? Money. Money is fearful. Money scares people. Money is something that you want to hold on to because it feels like giving it to you. I don't know if I'm going to get it back with interest. Well, right there, show authenticity. And it's like, oh, I could have a conversation. Oh, that conversation goes so beautifully and flowingly that now, all right, I'll trust them with my money, with what I have, with my savings, whatever it is. Right there, for instance, a banker is far more than what we think it is, which is like I'm behind a desk, I have, a suit, a professional suit. No, you can have a custom-made suit. If you don't own it, it's not going to change anything. I've seen stars, rising stars in Hollywood, putting $100,000 gown and say, but I don't really deserve it. Or, ooh, what if I damage it? And, instead of owning the moment to feel, my God, I'm dressed like a princess, like a royalty. Instead of embracing that moment that you would think that people are going to be like, anyone would be like, wow. Instead, they feel like actually it's calling their fear even more. So we are all a celebrity in our own rights. Whatever job you do, you are even dealing with, again, one person, an entire team, an entire company, nationally, internationally, absolutely. You are, and it's your duty every day to show up as who you are at best and aligning your emotions with your appearance. That's your brand.
And to dream big, because that's why, I just recently had Lisa Perlo, which is former CEO of a celebrity cruise line, the first woman that got to the CEO, and she shared the story how she started as a travel agent, just what you were talking about. Like you never know when you're auditioning for your next opportunity, and the fact that today you are showing in the world as one thing and you have one job doesn't mean that you're there forever. It's up to you, as you say, to show up authentically and passionately and be open about the opportunities that life may present you with.
That's right. And I'm going to piggyback on what you just said, because you see, that's the thing too. When people say, oh my God, when they know what I do, when I get introduced and they're like, oh my God, don't look at me today. Oh, but that's going to be hard because I mean, I'm human. And, the only way I can connect with you is, first with my sight. And that's the thing. Well, you should have thought of that before. How many times did I hear, oh my God, I was sitting next to this guy. He was gorgeous and I could tell he was single, but I look like, and now I don't feel like I'm up the part for that. Maybe you're going to be sitting. How many times I travel a lot, so I sit at bars. I love it. I learned it in New York. You sit at the bar, you speak to your left and to your right, and whoever is there. I have done business deals with people just out of a conversation. Why? Because every day I show up not just by what I wear, but I'm me. I don't apologize for who I am. That conversation, because it's authentic, leads to a conversation of trust. Trust become an interest, like, all right, let's talk about what we can do together. And round it goes. It's a circle. Again, law of attraction, spirituality, flow. And it keeps on going. So that's why every day, of course, your responsibility is being the movie star of your own life, because you never know what's the next person going to be, your next boss, your husband, your wife, a business partner, a business endeavor. But you show up as you, and now the universe is going to take care of you.
If that doesn't get my audience pumped, nothing will. That's so rightfully said. So, Patrice, anything, I always, towards the end of the interview, leave the opportunity to my guests to say something, maybe share a project you haven't shared, anything that we haven't particularly gotten into. I could feel we can talk forever. Flavia was right. But anything you want to highlight that we haven't touched upon?
I have an online course that I'm going to release at the beginning of next year. We're just like working on a few details, but it's ready to go. And essentially, it's basically having me in your home for a lesser price, something you can do on your own term, 25 modules, 25 exercises, 72 pages, and 92 slides on how do you build your brand? How do you go and understand personal and professional come together? But how do you start? Because it's a big monster that you look at. Like the first question, of course, is how do I even start? Where does that start, middle, and end? That online course is about saying, all right, I understand right now your mind is going 100 miles an hour. Let me calm it down step by step. Each video is literally an exercise to build your brand. And that's something I'm very proud of, because it took me a long time to be able to simplify something that to me is completely obvious, but it's not. And when you're so close to your gift, it's hard to step back and to be able to understand even what you're doing. What is my message? How do I say? What do I even do clearly that people can get? And that elevator pitch is a thing, to be able in one sentence to describe what I do. So that's really what, the next project with the book, which I'm pumped up, because that book is going to be so clear on how do you build your brand. Of course, I infuse my sense of humor. I'm a little sarcastic. I make fun of things, but I look at them from a simple, intuitive, street smart perspective. It's not from some college degree, PhD. It's about saying it's a lot easier than you think. It's just about observing, understanding, analyzing, and now you're ready to go to the next step of success.
And you have the fact that you're French going on for you. I mean, if a French guy, style and that it's already like a bonus for anybody taking your course. And so my last question in every interview is really about what makes you tick. This show was born because I wanted to connect with my own true essence, and what makes me tick and inspire conversations such as these ones are the main thing that makes me tick. So in those times where Patrice was down, or where you kind of navigate through all the fluff that we all go through, and you really need to resource your soul, what's your go thing to do or practice you embrace?
I do one thing that's very simple. Not every day is the perfect day. Yes, again, my awareness is higher, but I have bad days. Bad days mean, okay, why am I feeling that way? Oh, because maybe I didn't get that deal, or I didn't do this, or I did. So I let the drama run in my head for a little bit because, the chatterbox keeps on going and going and going. I'm like, okay. Meditation, which is my go-to thing every morning. It's either meditation or at least listening to a piece of empowerment or leadership or something that's going to have to do with helping me to understand better the mechanics of emotions and brain and human and being a human and all that together. And there's another thing that I do all the time, but I do that all the time, good and bad. I drive a lot. And I take a lot of airplanes. And when I see the misery that's in at our door, people at the red light with a cup, and I don't know if they're lying or not, but a lot of them, if you have no limbs and you're in a wheelchair, well, that means your life is probably not as good as mine. And shame on me to believe that I had such a problem to deal with. I'm sure that person would trade their lives with mine instantly. So from those concepts, it's like, okay, got it. I look at myself in the mirror. Am I picking on a gray hair or this or that or the other? Or I feel like, yeah, I'm me. I embrace it. I'm ready to go. And these are the subtle tricks that I have learned to implement in my life every single day. And it helps me a great deal to navigate my life.
Very powerful. I have no doubt that your third book will be a total success, Patrice, because you're really full of energy. It's contagious. I always say energy is contagious. So I can say why people that you have around and your clients love working with you, because that's really what it's all about. And I think the more we surround ourselves with people like yourself and people with that kind of energy, awareness, and empathy, I think we will live a better life for sure. So with that said, I really thank you for taking the time to share this little bit of wisdom with the audience. And I personally am a new fan, so I'm going to follow you. And I'm very, very grateful for our dear friend Flavia to connect us. And I wish you the best of luck. You always have a space here at Back to Basics.
Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, I'll be back. Oh, girl, next year, we're getting back together.
We're going to find something more specific to talk about, which we've done with some of the recurring guests. Thank you so much, Patrice, to all of you out there. Take care, build your brand, check out Patrice's coaching courses, because you really can turn your life around when you embrace a lot of the things he shared with us. Until the next episode, bye-bye. You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.